film Tom and Jerry is another horrible attempt to try to blend in live animation into the real world settings. And it's done very poorly. This film is horrible. There's some terrible acting. And, it's really not that funny. If you're a Tom and Jerry fan, avoid at all costs. Directed by Tim Story, this film follows the adventures of Tom and Jerry. But that's a bunch of crap because this film should have been called Tom and Jerry featuring human characters. And these human characters we don't really give a shit about. I mean, how do you take a concept that basically were about two main characters and then put them in a movie? There was a reason this film was stuck in development hell since 2009. Man, it should have stayed there because this movie is awful. You got terrible writing, the characters are not really worthwhile, and the acting's pretty bad. I may have laughed a little bit throughout this film, but generally watching this movie was like a pain. It was a chore. If anything, Chloe Grace Moretz, well, her character Kayla, she lies and cheats her way into receiving a hotel job. And that's not even the worst part. Worst part is for the 100-minute runtime that this film has, nothing really exciting happens. It's about, well, let's just say the main plot is about a woman losing her wedding ring and then throwing the whole wedding ceremony. I kid you not, that's the type of shit that goes on in this film. I grew up watching Tom and Jerry, and the moment I saw a trailer to this film last year, I knew this movie was going to be shitty because, in order to do a movie like this, you got to have compelling characters, and that's not found in this movie whatsoever. Michael Pena, he's forgettable in this role. There's not one interesting character, and Tom and Jerry are barely in the movie at all. Sure, they show up and they have their little shorts, their little chase, they hit each other with heavy objects. I enjoyed some of that, but for the majority of this film, I was just wondering, Hollywood must be really running out of ideas in order for them to come up with a movie about two main characters that's, barely in the film. And let's also mention the fact two main characters that don't even talk. This movie is pretty much a waste of time in my opinion. I wasn't expecting a great story with this film, but my goodness, please give me something that's entertaining. There are many moments throughout this film that are boring, and it focuses on the human characters I mentioned before. I really don't care about these human characters. They're not interesting. If anything, Kayla sets a bad example to the younger audience out there that you have to lie and cheat your way to the top. What? I mean, her character is beyond, just terrible. And it's not just that. There's a moment in the film where, they go for a slapstick comedy, and it really doesn't work for me. I laugh a little bit in this film, but it wasn't enough to say, oh, that was very intelligent. Nah, but for real though, for them to do this movie, the actors are probably wondering they did it for the paycheck, right? To just to make a little bit of money or whatever. So that's nice. But other than little kids, I can't really imagine anyone else out there liking this movie. If they do like Tom and Jerry, then that's cool. But for me, I had a hard time liking this film at all. I'm giving this film a 5 out of 10. This is straight up a dumpster fire movie. It's just awful storytelling. Characters not really, we don't care about them. And Hollywood trying to make an awful movie by using an IP from a lot of people who grew up watching Tom and Jerry. This is how you ruin things like that. Simply being, this film probably should have never been made, but hey, it is this. And one thing I'll say, if you've never seen this movie and you're a Tom and Jerry fan, skip this film at all costs because you probably won't like this movie at all. And that's my review of the film Tom and Jerry. Okay, leave your comments down below in the section and let me know what you think about this film if you've seen it. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Also, what are your views on taking certain IP, such as, cartoons or whatever, and turn it into live feature films? This film could have been interesting if it had compelling characters, but at the end of the day, it's just a forgettable movie in my eyes. Alright, this is Slum Guy 172 saying, peace out.